Hey everybody, it's Professor Dick. Today we're working on a Honda crf150f. We had issues with it not starting. It was something electrical, so we checked. First off, started with the battery. The battery was charged. Checked the starter relay and my fuses. Everything was good. Checked continuity down to my starter motor. I had power to that and the starter motor was not turning. So I took the starter off, took it apart, and you can see the brushes are shot. What happened was I had a leaky carburetor, and over time the gas from the carburetor dripped onto the starter, disintegrated the O-rings, gas got inside there and it ruined it. So I probably could have had it rebuilt, but checked on the prices of a new one. A brand new OEM starter from Honda is about $230. Found one on eBay. It's probably a cheap Chinese model, but it's $60. So we're going to replace that today and see if we can't get everything fixed. Okay, here's where the old starter was. Sits down in here. You line this gear up with the gear inside the engine. It's your starter gear. There's two bolts here. I took those two bolts out. Slide the starter out. And that's what it looks like removed. I also have the carburetor off. And I removed the exhaust so we had plenty of room to work on this. Okay, there it goes. It's my ground wire. Pretty simple fix. These are two 12mm bolts. I have the negative terminal disconnected on the battery because I'm going to hook up the positive terminal to the starter. I don't want anything to short out in the process, so that's why I disconnect the negative cable for now. The positive cable goes on here. Okay, I'm just going to tighten all this stuff up, and we're going to work on putting the carburetor back together. Okay, we got a new carburetor. It's an aftermarket. It says Kaken on it. I believe they're probably rebuilt. I put one on another bike before because I wasn't sure how it would work, but it worked awesome. This was $28. It doesn't even pay to buy a rebuild kit. The only thing that does not have it has a manual choke on here. You have to hold it up by hand. The original just stays in position on its own. There's the original. Everything matches up. They look identical. I'm just going to go over, I already have the carburetor removed, but I'm going to go over how it came off. We have two 10mm bolts right here at the intake. We have a Phillips head screw here for the air box. Disconnect both of those. The throttle cable goes down inside here. This is just threaded on, screws off. I unscrewed that. Turned my fuel petcock off, disconnected the fuel line, ran this into a cup and drained any fuel in the carburetor bowl before I took it off. Pretty simple. Okay, I'm going to take the throttle cable off. You just have to push this up. The new carburetor has a new spring and slide. I'm going to utilize that. This needle may be shot too, so we're just going to replace it all. Going to compress this spring, put this through here. And that's changed. I switched the chokes out too. I put the old choke on the new carburetor. It's just a matter of taking this screw out and changing the bracket. Here's the old one. So it's not a manual choke anymore that you have to hold by hand. You can set it and it'll stay. Also have to replace Just take the old drain line off for the bowl and the fuel line, and we should be good to install. Okay, when you put the new slide in here, you got to make sure this groove, this notch fits in the idle screw adjustment at the bottom. So you got to line these up. Should slide in real easy. There we go. Tighten the top screw cap. Work my throttle and it's not sticking. It should work. I'm going to put the air box on first because you sort of have to roll it in place. Okay, that's in. I'm going to tighten this up so it stays. And then we're going to put this on. Put this together first because this has flex in it. If you put this on first, you can't bend this enough to get it on. It's more difficult. So we put the air box on first, tighten it up, and then lined it up with our studs and put our nuts on. We've reconnected our fuel line. Just gonna do a rundown here. We make sure everything we had is together before we turn the fuel on. Gonna reroute the drain line. So it comes out the bottom. Things in the way. We have this Phillips head screwdriver screwed tight. We have our nuts tight. We have the top tight. We have one more hose to connect. This is just a breather hose, I believe. I think it goes on the other side. I believe that's just some sort of breather tube, vacuum tube. I don't know what it does exactly. But everything's connected the way I took the original off. We have our choke. Alright, now I'm going to reconnect the negative battery terminal. Now if we did everything correctly, it should turn over. Let's put the fuel on. Key on. It's turning over. I'm not going to start it because I don't have the exhaust on yet. Everything's seems to be working properly. The starter's turning, the engine. I'm going to reconnect the exhaust. See if we can get it to start. This clamp tightens up. This slides in here. Have to twist it a little bit to get it in. I'm going to tighten this clamp up first so I have a solid connection at my engine. Okay, and I think it's 12 millimeter. We'll tighten them up. Get me a 12 millimeter. We got it. Okay, now if we did everything right, it should start. Moment of truth. Okay, we got it started. Wouldn't run on its own, so I just did a minor adjustment here. All this is idle adjustment. Turn it in, increases idle, back it out, decreases idle. When it's good and warm, we'll probably have to readjust that, but brand new carburetor, you can expect to make minor adjustments. Everything seems to be working. We're going to give it a shot.
Dang, buddy's flying.
Okay, we got everything back together. We test drove it. I put some fresh gas and some seafoam in it, ran it for a while, and runs awesome now. I hope this helped some of you want to be mechanics out there like me. See you next time.